The Bowen Connection. Brought to you by the UALR William H. Bowen School of Law. Each week, Bowen Law School professors share their expertise on legal issues that impact your life every day. Our host, Tanya Oakes Smith, Director of Communications for the Bowen School of Law. The Bowen Connection.
Thank you for tuning into today's Bowen Connection, a program from the UALR William H. Bowen School of Law focused on how the law impacts each of us. Every week we will talk with an expert from the law school about a different subject. Our aim is to help you better understand the legal system. I'm Tanya Oakes Smith, Director of Communications at the Bowen School of Law. This week we're talking with Professor Gene Mullins, who is an expert in animal law. We're going to be talking about how the law impacts animal owners in different ways. Before we start, though, we'd like to remind everyone that this program does not take the place of talking to your own attorney. According to the Humane Society of the United States, there are approximately 78 million owned dogs and 86 million owned cats in the United States. Animals are said to help humans live healthier, happier lives, and many individuals consider their fur babies as important as their human ones. People are certainly dedicated to their animals, but there's a great amount of responsibility involved in owning a pet. Thank you for joining us, Professor Mullins, to talk about this important topic. Now, what kind of ordinances govern animals being kept as pets, particularly in Little Rock?
There's a wide range of subjects of ordinances that are relevant to pet owners and animal owners. Things like the leash law, and allowing your dog, or your dog especially, to run loose. As a matter of fact, one of the more interesting Arkansas cases involves a problem of liability with a free-running dog. A lot of the levels regarding animal cruelty, the laws regarding animal cruelty, are to be found in the ordinances as well as state law. The conditions under which you keep your animals, well fed, water, those kinds of matters are involve requirements for care and their living conditions. And of course, there's always the famous pit bull ordinances. So many jurisdictions nowadays have pit bulls, but in Little Rock, we have a very interesting situation where while the pit bulls are classified among the vicious animals, and what is a pit bull is a very interesting question in itself, but one can, with the proper permits, have pit bulls in Little Rock, subject to the number limitation of 4. But it's a very interesting ordinance, and it's not a complete, flat prohibition of having pit bulls. So it's a little different, and I think it can be a model for other jurisdictions. And of course, there's always the excessive barking and howling, ordinances prohibiting that. Sherwood has an interesting ordinance. It actually does require you to pick up after your dog, subject to a fine if you don't. I'm not sure whether Little Rock or North Little Rock have such ordinances, but
Okay, now how can an owner be held accountable for things his pet does?
In addition to being liable in local district court for violation of ordinances, there are liabilities attached if your dog or animal hurts someone else. If you have a dog which is regarded as vicious, and it doesn't always take a whole lot of aggressiveness to be found to be vicious, the liability is fairly strict. If the owner or keeper, you're taking care of a dog for somebody else, you can be liable as a matter of the civil law. If you knew or had reason to know of vicious propensities, tendencies to bite, you can be held liable in rather strict fashion. And if you're careless in letting your dog run loose, you could also be liable on a theory of negligence. One of the more interesting Arkansas cases involves a dog running loose chasing squirrels, which is what some of them think is their main role in life. And he ran into a car. Instead of the car hurting the dog hurt the car. It went to small claims court and then actually to the Arkansas Supreme Court. There were some interesting legal issues that I think the insurance companies were interested in. But he dented the car and he was running loose and the owner was held liable. So that's, I think, one of the more interesting examples. You need to use ordinary care in keeping that a reasonable person would use to keep your animals under control. Now, I don't know what you do about cats, but that's a special situation.
Well, that was going to be my next question. It seems like many of the ordinances are targeted at dog owners. Are there any comparable cat owner ordinances?
Dog owners often feel, discriminated against, but there are ordinances in Little Rock and other jurisdictions that are directly directed at cats and cat owners, although the various control on cats is a little bit different from the dogs.
Now, how about, we love our pets like they're our babies. When we get to be later in life and we're worried about who's going to take care of our pets after we pass away, how do we handle that?
Well, you should be concerned about it at almost any stage. As far as the law is concerned, the animal, the dog, the cat, the horse, the ferret, those are still regarded as property. A special kind of property among the more liberal courts, but they are property and therefore they are part of your estate. And you can provide by will for the animal to be given to somebody. Unfortunately, when that happens, that is the animal belongs to the person you've given it to, and they might mistreat them or neglect them. We have local shelters have cases coming in fairly frequently of dogs and cats that have not been cared for by the person who was supposed to be the caretaker. If you have sufficient money, you can have a more secure provision if you have enough money to fund a trust. Arkansas, very forward-looking, has statutes on the books that allow you to set up a trust that will be taking care of the animal for as long as it is alive and can be judicially enforced if the person doesn't follow through on what the instructions of the trust are.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Now, how are shelters established? Are they established through law?
Good question. There's basically two kinds. There are the public, they're part of the animal control. Your Little Rock, North Little Rock, we're having a CLE on animal law on the 13th, and there's going to be a panel of local animal control directors talking about some of the issues that come up, especially under local ordinances. But they are set up by ordinance initially for animal control purposes, but there's more and more movement toward trying to get as many of them as possible adopted. The other kind of situation involves private groups, usually 501c3 nonprofits, which are headed by a board of directors, and they involve rescue of different kinds. Some are limited to specific breeds. The Humane Society of Pulaski County takes on all that we have room for. Other smaller groups, there are a number in the area, and you can Google that and find a number of groups that you might be interested in.
Now, let's first define what exactly makes a pet. How is a pet different from a wild animal?
Well, the pet is term generally is reserved for animals that have a history of domestication. Dogs and cats, for example, thousands and thousands of years. There are some more recent animals that are recognized as possible pets, ferrets, for example. But by and large, your local ordinances will often govern whether you can keep, what kinds of animals you can keep, and prohibit the keeping of what are generally called wild animals, animals that are not really domesticated. Your raccoons, your cougars. I knew one of my former students had a cougar, but she was way out in the country with lots of precautions. But generally the local ordinances will prohibit the keeping of such animals or put controls on them, and will be more or less specific. But basically it's a matter of domestication. It's where the law interacts with the realities of what the animal is and what its species and characteristics are.
Well, I really appreciate your coming in and talking to us about animal law today. We've just scratched the surface of this huge subject.
That is correct.
And thank you for joining us on the Bowen Connection. We'd love to hear your questions, comments, and ideas for story topics. Email law@ualr.edu with your input. Come back again next week when we'll take another look at how the law applies to all of us every day.